This substitute removes the element of harassment from the bill. So this bill, HB2254, is a bill that would make it illegal to send pictures of one's genitals to another without their consent. In 2017, they found that 53% of millennial women had received an unsolicited picture of someone's penis. This picture or video these pictures and videos are disseminated or transmitted via text, direct message, email, or even airdropped in public places. So it can just show up on your phone without any warning. I work in real estate, and and many real estate agents have very public cell phone numbers. In the last year, many agents have become victims of this cyber flashing. Maybe the pandemic has people bored, but regardless, we quickly found that there was no recourse for this offense. Last week, some realtors actually were on a Zoom, and a random visitor that was engaging in a sex act wasn't discovered for several minutes by the presenter. Sending someone an obscene picture should require consent from the recipient. Sending an obscene picture to someone without consent is the equivalent to cyber flashing. Indecent exposure is a similar offense, and main difference would be that indecent exposure is done in person. The penalty for this would be the same, a Class 1 misdemeanor. And Mr. Chair, I thank you, and I hope the entire committee agrees that we need to ban cyber flashing.
Okay, anybody want to speak in favor or against the bill?
At this time, we have no speakers.
Okay, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead. Senator Sherrill.
First of all, I have no idea who likes or enjoys or gets off doing this, but I guess there's people out there that do. But what I suppose, like a boyfriend, I guess boyfriends and girlfriends do this. I mean, I started dating before these phones existed, so this wasn't a thing back when I used to date. But in any event, how do you differentiate between a consensual one of these and one that's not consensual? For example, I could see a situation where boyfriends and girlfriends are trading pictures of themselves, and the relationship goes bad, and then a week or two or three later, somebody's swearing out a warrant saying, "Hey, he keeps sending me this or she keeps sending me that," and now there's misdemeanor charges and lawyers involved. So how do you differentiate in a situation where the people had a relationship at one point?
Mr. Chair, is that?
You go ahead. Yeah. Delegate.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The wording with a consent and unsolicited, we worked on. In Texas, they have express consent, and that could be an amendment that would be helpful if the committee so chooses. But right now, consent would be deemed as how consent is in other parts of the code.
Okay. All right. Anybody else?
I've got a couple questions, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, go ahead, Senator Morrissey.
Okay. I've struggled over this bill, and I've read it many times, and I'm having a very hard time. Tell me in simple language how the Commonwealth would prove the mens rea component, the intent to coerce, harass, or intimidate, if this were done. If you can just answer that first question.
Charles.
I think Senator Morrissey's looking at the bills that came over from the House and not the substitute version.
Okay.
I don't want to speak negative about the bill, but this bill does not actually have a mens rea component to it, which I do think is.
Well, do you have an amendment or anything like that? Any amendments to fix it?
Mr. Chair, I am not quite certain how to fix it, putting some sort of mens rea component back into the bill.
But intentional.
Right now, it's essentially a strict liability for anyone who transmits any still image of any person engaging in sexual conduct or any person with genitals exposed. I don't want to make too big of a point of this, but that would also include essentially a photo of a work in the Met, of, a work of art, so to speak, a true work of art that depicts a person with their.
Well, can you come up with an amendment?
Hold on, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead. Steve, I'm listening. Go ahead.
Chairman,
Charles, go ahead.
Jesus.
And that's what I'm trying to say. I don't know how to come up with an amendment when
Mr. Chair,
commercial speech would be protected. There's
Mr. Chair.
issues
Go
here.
ahead, let Charles
I
finish.
think
Go
I
ahead.
still was,
Charles, go
had the
ahead.
floor.
Charles, go ahead.
That's all I have to say is,
Okay.
I think the bill has a lot of First Amendment problems, and I'm uncertain how to get around those problems.
Okay.
I have a
Hearing
motion.
what the
Can I
major
make
has
a
to
point?
say.
Just a minute. Yeah, Senator Morrissey.
Thank you. Charles made the most important statement a few moments ago when he said, this bill as currently written imposes strict liability. So here's the situation. When boyfriend and girlfriend are on good terms, the picture that is sent is good. That's okay, even though it's a violation of the law. 2 weeks later, it's if you impose a strict liability standard, the person has now committed a crime. That's the first problem. To say that this bill has First Amendment limitations is the understatement of this session.
Okay.
It's whatever the laudable intent is here, it's a bad bill that has Herculean constitutional problems.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah,
Mr.
Senator
Chairman, I have a
Peterson.
motion.
Senator Peterson.
I would just simply say Michelangelo's David would be in violation of this.
Yeah.
If you were to take a
All right.
photo of Michelangelo, any Roman or Greek classical statue, you'd be in violation of the statute.
Yeah, Senator Norman,
I move to PBI the bill.
is there a second? It's been moved and seconded to pass the bill by indefinitely. All in favor of the motion? Yeah, go ahead. Somebody want to speak?
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, the First Amendment issue, I have been told by counsel that being obscene, it takes away that issue. Also, the consent issue. Everybody's what ifs comes down to, well, what if this happened with a statue with art? What if that happened right now in person? It happens. Like we make it illegal in person. And I found earlier, one of the senators say on the floor, we have to try something, talking about a littering bill, said we have to try something. Something's got to work. And to not address this issue is just, it's very, with someone with 3 daughters, and I've only heard men address this in the committee. It's very hard to, I don't feel like this is getting a fair hearing, and this is a huge problem. So all I can do is urge the committee to discuss and consider the bill.
Okay, maybe you can go back and take another look at it with some people to try to fix it if you can. Anyway, we've got a motion before us to pass the bill by indefinitely. All in favor of the motion, vote aye. All opposed, no. What's the motion? Pass the bill by indefinitely.
Ayes 8, noes 5, 1 abstention.
8 to 5, the bill is passed by indefinitely. I think the bill has got possibilities that could be worked on, I think. Anyway,